I grew up in a really bad way. There was a lot of violence in my household. My dad was an alcoholic and it was really dysfunctional. So I grew up with him beating my mom. I grew up with him beating me, my aunts. And when my mom and dad split up in 1986, 87, then I was left with my brothers and sisters with my dad. And so I was the brunt of his destruction. But then there came a time when I turned to the streets because I had no other way. And I started running the streets, I started using drugs, I started getting involved in gangs, and that overtook my life. As I got older and started getting in trouble and getting incarcerated, that's when even the court systems were saying that I was a lost cause, there was no hope for me, and that basically I was a menace to society. And I spent the majority of my 20s in the California prison system. And then when I was released at the age of 30, I came to Idaho to stay with my little sister. And at that time, I got my very first apartment. Everything was going okay, but I started drinking. And even though I wasn't using drugs, I justified it, saying that it's just alcohol. Well, I found myself at a party I should have never been at. And what ended up happening was a man showed up that was a rival gang member. And I did the only thing I knew how and assaulted him with a weapon. And then the crazy part about it is God was actually working in my life without me knowing it, because the next day I called my mom, told her what I did, and went and turned myself in. And so then what ended up happening was when I got into the prison system, I got in more trouble. And so I got put into solitary confinement for 3 years. While I was in solitary confinement, I actually cried out that I wanted to change, but I didn't know how. I didn't cry out to God, I just said I want to change. And God heard that cry, because when I got let back into general population, 10 days later, another inmate introduced me to the Bible and I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ. And that was the decision that changed my life forever. You see, my new life in Christ is a life of peace, in love, in joy. And it's all because of Jesus. Before Christ, I was a really violent man. I was a drug addict, I was a thief, and I had no regards for human life. But since giving my life to Jesus, that He's softened my heart in such a way that I love everybody. For instance, with my dad, before, if he were to say something to push my buttons, I would turn to violence. But now when he pushes my buttons, I just pray. And now my dad's the one always calling me saying, can you pray for this? Can you pray for that? So God's brought my dad a really long way. And we actually have a relationship for the first time ever. There's so many things in my life that wouldn't be possible today without God. I was able to go to school and get my journeyman's license for plumbing. God also opened up a door for me to buy a house. I've never lived in a house before. And God did bless me with a wife. And God allowed my beautiful wife to move in my house with me. He's put ministries and asked me to oversee ministries. That's crazy to ask me to oversee anything. But with Jesus, it's possible. A lot of times, I have to ask God, is this real? Because of all the beautiful things that He's doing in my life. And it's only because I surrender to Him. And see, it doesn't matter where you've been in life, what you've done in life. If Jesus can set someone like me free, He can set you free too. But it all starts with believing in Jesus and understanding that the same resurrection power that rose Him from the dead can raise you from whatever you're going through and set you free and make you a new creation. If there's hope for me, there's hope for anybody.